Hey everybody, it's Chris Jesty here, and today we're going to be going over a match I played recently with Pirate. Normally I don't like casting my own matches, but since there hasn't been a tournament this month due to NashCon going on, which is actually going to be starting today because this is Friday, August 16th. Everybody at NashCon, I hope you're having fun. I hope to hear all the fun stories and how Carbon's dice don't roll above a 5. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. This is a 7,500 point early Succession Wars era clan only, is what Pirate asked for, and this is what we're doing. So funnily enough, we both ended up bringing one of the same mechs, which is interesting, and then, well, kind of two of the same mechs. You'll see in a second here. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of the lists. Don't want to get too involved, because we're going to get into the match here in a minute. But I've got a Phoenix Hawk PXH-1C Special, which according to the MUL is not unique as of right now. I just checked it yesterday. It's got a 696 movement profile, which is, you know, standard Phoenix Hawk. It's good, not great. 144 out of 153 armor, solid for a medium mech. And its weapon loadout is a snub nose PPC, 2 medium lasers, an ER large laser, and 2 machine guns. And it's got a full ton of machine gun ammo. Maybe drop that to a half and pick up that extra half ton of armor. That would be ideal. It does have case and an ECM suite, but we are talking an Intersphere XL, so the case means almost nothing. The ECM is nice though, if you need it. Next up, we have a Peregrine, also known as the Horned Owl. This is also a 696 movement profile, 20 heat sinks total, 96 out of 119 armor. This is only a 35 tonner, so it's still a light mech. It's got 2 medium pulse lasers and a large pulse laser. Clan spec, because this is a clan mech, straight up. It's a solid mech, 210 standard fusion engine, so I can lose a torso and not even worry about it really, and just lose half my weapons. And that large pulse laser is in the center torso, so as long as I have that, I'm still shooting. Next up is the Locust 1VB. This thing is dirt cheap, 642 battle value. By the way, the Phoenix Hawk came in at 3-4. Forgot to mention, everything else on this list is going to be 4-5, just because I wanted a little more metal. The Locust is 812 movement profile. This is the Royal Star League variant. It's got 20 heat sinks, which it doesn't need. Max armor. It's got 2 medium pulse lasers, 2 small pulse lasers, and a regular medium laser, which usually you don't see medium pulse or ER mediums mixed in with standard mediums. That's few and far between. Usually it's all one or a mix of pulse and ER, not standard. But this is a solid, quick little bugger and great for backstabbing. Also dirt cheap, 642 battle value. Next up is the Fire Scorpion, standard Fire Scorpion. This is a quad mech coming in at 65 tons. It's a bit slow at 4.6, not exactly speedy. I don't really like mechs that are 4.6, but since I'm playing Goliath Scorpion, I figured I might as well bring one since it's on brand. It's got 10 standard heat sinks, so that's a big whopping 10 heat sinking capability, but that's not terrible because we can only generate a total of 10 heat normally. It's got 224 out of 231 armor, almost maxed, which is what you want to see on a quad mech because they can bring more armor than a non-quad mech to make up for losing slots. It's got an Ultra Auto Cannon 10 and an LB 10X. It's got enough rounds to double tap that UAC 10 every single turn, no problem. And it's also got entirely too much LB 10X ammo. I've got 3 tons of standard and 1 ton of cluster. I mean, you can do whatever you want with these. Hell, you could dump a ton just to open up that crit slot if you really wanted to. And it's got 4 A-pods, 1 on each leg, which didn't come into play because this is an all mech fight. We just both happened to decide to bring nothing but mechs, not through any restriction. And next up is a mech that's going to be shared, well, the chassis is going to be shared between me and Pirate. This is the Lupus A. If I'm not mistaken, this is early Omni mech, probably Coyote, if I had to take a guess, which I don't have to, but I'm gonna. It's a 5A movement profile, standard 300 rated fusion engine, which is ideal, and you'll see why as we go into this match. It's got 24 total heat sinks, standard gyro, 172 out of 201 armor, not quite max, but not missing much. Only like 30 armor, roughly. 29 to be exact. Or, no, sorry, 31 armor. No, 29. Yeah, I know how to do math. And it's got the version I'm taking, which is the A, has a large pulse laser, 2 ER mediums, and an ultra auto cannon 10, again with enough rounds to double tap this every single turn of a 15 round match, which is MRC standard. And that's rounds out my list. I've got 2 jumpy laser boys. I've got 1 runny laser boy. I've got long range direct fire support, and I've got a brawler. They can get in there. I'm not worried about mixing it up with him. I'd like to have ER or SRMs or something instead of these ER medium lasers, but it is what it is. I'll take it. It's a solidly tanky mech. And we're going to go ahead and get into Pirate's list, and we'll go ahead and start with his Lupus, which is the Lupus B. This thing's coming in at a whopping 2,620 battle value versus the 1927 of my Lupus A. But that's primarily because Pirate took his Lupus at 3-4. Yep. So I only have 1 3-4 on my list in the Phoenix Hawk. Everything else is 4-5. Everything on Pirate's list is 3-4 except for his Mercury, which we'll get to lastly, which is 4-4. So he's paying for the skill increase. I am paying for metal. It's a 5-8 movement profile, as we mentioned earlier. This one only has 22 heat sinks, so he's 1 sink short from what I've got. Same armor, 172 out of 201, solid. And he's got 2 ER medium lasers, 2 medium pulse lasers, 2 ER small lasers, and an LB20X autocannon. And he's got 15 rounds for it, perfect for a full 15 turn game. This is a solid mech. Lupus A and the B, they're both gonna do good in this match, and you'll see coming up. I like this version. It's a little bit pricey at 3-4 at 2,600 battle value. That's literally a third of his list, but it does kind of pull its weight, and you'll see why. Whereas mine is only just about 2,000 battle value. Let's see, what is this at 3-4? Let's configure it and see what the difference is real quick. I'm sorry, 4-5. Oh, we have to go all the way around. Okay, at 4-5, it's 1985. So really only 60 battle value difference, which is not bad. These are both different, but considerable. Honestly, I should have probably taken the B. I had enough battle value, almost enough battle value left over. I should have taken that. This thing is nasty. Next up, he's got the Great Worm, and this is a 45 tonner coming in at 1757 battle value at 3-4, 20 total heat sinks, standard engine, inner sphere, early succession wars mech. I don't know if this is clan tech or not. We'll see. But he's got 112 out of 153 armor, 2 UAC 2s, which are for poking out eyeballs, 2 ER medium lasers, 2 ER small lasers, and an LRM 10. Not bad. It's solid. It's pretty cheap for what you get, and no complaints. I mean, it's a 45 tonner, which is an awkward tonnage range. There's some solid mechs in that bracket that you're competing against, and this kind of has a bracket fire setup, and it doesn't really need to because it's got enough sinks to probably fire almost everything every turn, except maybe those UACs or those ER smalls, which you're likely not in range of most of the time. So you can fire those UACs every turn. It's got 1 ton of ammo shared between them, but that's more than enough for a 15 turn match at 45 shots. So by all means, double tap those things every turn. And it's got 1 ton of LRM 10 ammo, 12 rounds. That's enough for one match, especially if it's a inner sphere LRM-10, you probably won't be using it once you close into brawling range and get those mediums shooting. All right, next up, he's got a Locust 2C, 25 tonner. This thing's coming in at 1452 battle value, which is a spicy meatball for a Locust. A12 movement profile, 200 standard engine, 20 double heat sinks. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ER small lasers and 1 medium pulse laser. I don't like this. It's basically an expensive dasher. Yes, you do have a little bit more armor than the dasher, but not by that much. And you're not doing nearly as much damage as the dasher H for significantly less battle value. And you're not nearly as fast as the dasher H either. I don't like the Locust 2C standard one. There are some other ones that are pretty solid, but this one I'm not a fan of. The 1 medium pulse laser isn't bad. I'd rather swap out 2 or 3 of those ER smalls, or 4 of them if I could, for another medium pulse laser, or 2 to make this worth it. Compared to the Locust 1VB, which is literally half the price, also only at 4.5, this thing has a good bit more damage potential when it comes to actually hitting your target with the pulse bonus. Next up, we have the Mongoose MON-66, another A12 movement profile mech. 200 rated fusion engine, 10 standard heat sinks, max armor for its 25 tonnage, 89 out of 89. And it's got 1, 2, 3 medium lasers and a small laser. So if it fires everything and walks or runs, it'll generate 1 or 2 heat. It does have an active probe, which is nice if you need it. Not much to really say about this. It's another Locust. It's an expensive Locust, coming in at over 1,000 battle value, barely at 1,001 at 3.4. Feel like I'd rather have the Locust than this, honestly. It's an interesting mech. I think he's playing Clan Mongoose, so it's on brand. I can't blame him for taking it, but I can't condone it for what it's bringing to the table, honestly. Next up is the Mercury MCY-99 20-ton mech, coming in at 53 armor at a 69. Ooh, that's a blast cannon. It's A12 16 with mask, so it's technically another A12 movement profile mech. And it's got 2 medium lasers, 2 small lasers, and mask. Okay, so this I don't mind as much. It's as expensive as the Locust 1VB, but this thing is coming in at 4.4, so you have that extra bit of skill for melee, which means it's not as expensive as this Royal Locust, but it does pack a decent punch with 2 medium lasers and 2 small lasers. That's solid for that price bracket. I'm okay with this. I'm not opposed to this Mercury here. The Mongoose, I can't justify. So looking at his list overall, he's got 1 solid brawler in the Lupus. He's got the Great Worm, which is going to be a good poker. He doesn't really have to close the gap with this thing, but he can if he wants to. Just to back up that Lupus, I would probably keep this behind the Lupus and let the Lupus go and screen for this bad boy. And then he's got a little trifecta here of A12 mechs that are probably going to gang up on something big and heavy in the background and just kick it to death. They all have basically the same movement profile, except for Mercury, which is a bit quicker. Whoops, wrong one. Coming in at A12/16 with mask. So this is a nice little hunting pack he's got here. The only problem is, and you'll see this as soon as we open up the map, is that he's got no jump jets on any single one of his mechs. I didn't realize this until we went into the match and I started, actually looking at the mechs he was bringing in between turns. And we're going to see why you probably want to bring at least 1, maybe 2 mechs that have got some jump jets to help you maneuver on some of the more interesting maps, which we'll get right into it. So Pirate's a very good player, as you all know. So he likes to challenge himself, and I think he took no jump jets on purpose, just to give himself that little bit of extra challenge. And it's an interesting match for sure. This one's really close. I know what happens because I played in it, but we're going to go through this together. So this is the map we're playing on. This is, I think, the Kozis River Valley or something like that. This map sucks. As you can see, there's a lot of water. There's a lot of hills. There's not many firing lanes, so anything that's relying on long range is going to kind of suffer here unless you've got jump jets to get into a nice little sniper perch. Even then, there's no guarantee that you'll have line of sight on anything because of all the cliffs and little nooks and crannies you can hide in. There's also a decent amount of forest, especially on the level 1 and some of these level 2 hexes, so you can get some nice defensive bonuses from those hexes, especially when it comes to the lines of fire that are likely going to be drawn from your ideal sniper locations. I've played this map before. Generally what happens on this map is there's a kerfluffle in the middle right around this hill, because that's just where all the walking mechs are going to converge. There's no way around it. Either the walking mechs come to right about here and right about here or here, depending on what your starting side is, and you just shoot at each other south of the rock, or you start playing rigging around the roadsy around this middle hill here. So we're going to see how this map plays out, or this match plays out, but I've played on this map. This is one of the Tukiad invasion maps, so it's a pretty common map to see pop up every once in a while. I think this one might have a neoprene out there, but this is one of the rougher ones if you do not have jump jets, and Pirate has none. So as you can see in the bottom left, I said, shit, you have no jump. And this map sucks. It's cut off, but there's the evidence for posterity's sake. So let's go ahead and get into the match. This is round 1, and the first move of the match goes to Pirate. Just moving up his Mercury into the depth 1 water. He has to cross this river here, or he could go down further south and cross here. Either way, he's not in an ideal spot. If he comes down here, it's very likely that I'll be able to get a Hail Mary shot at him through these woods with something. So he probably elects to stay back here and take the cover and not get a line of fire drawn onto him. Next up, I just run my Phoenix Hawk out, getting as much ground as I can with that 6-9 run. Just running them for 9 and getting a line of fire here. So that way I've got this area covered and this area covered, depending on where he moves his other mechs. Because I know they're fast, but I don't know exactly how far he can get. Next up, he moves his Mongoose down, which is what I just said about having to cross this river here. This is one of the only spots you can do it, unless you go, you know, if you don't have jump jets, your options are limited, and he's taken this route with the Mongoose. Didn't elect to do that with the Mercury, though. Next up, I'm pretty sure I just scooch my Lupus up all the way. Oh no, that's right. Okay, so I did a bit of a flub here when I positioned my Fire Scorpion. I put him right here in this forest on deployment, which I thought was a level 0 hex, maybe at worst level 1, ends up it's a level 3 hex. So my Fire Scorpion, which should be right about here, has to basically sidestep and waste most of a turn. Granted, I still have line of fire here, which is ideal. It's exactly what I want to cover these lanes. But I would like to be a little bit closer to the action on, you know, turn 2 or 3, because this is the slowest mech in my list, and now it's getting delayed an extra turn. Not ideal, but it is what it is. Pay attention to the map, zoom in, and double check the hexes you're placing stuff in. If you're not sure, it looked like it was level 0. You know, the 4 is kind of messing with the level numbers there. Oh well, no biggie. I'm just a turn behind on the Fire Scorpion. Next up, Pirate runs his Great Worm up. He's spawned down here in the bottom right with his Lupus and Great Worm, because, I mean, those are the only real places he's got to deploy at level 0. If not, he's going to have a heck of a time getting off those hills. And the Great Worm and Lupus are brawlers. His other fast mechs definitely don't want to be up on the hill. So he's moving them across the river slowly but surely, getting into, you know, not long range. Next up, I'm pretty sure, yep, I just moved my Lupus straight up behind this heavy woods, giving him cover, and also covering this firing lane right here on the south side of the rock, middle. Next up, Pirate moves his Locust 2C up, so I can take some little pot shots at him with the Phoenix Hawk. Unfortunately, I got line of fire blocked on the Lupus because of the heavy woods right in front of me and the light woods right here. But he is exposed currently, and I'm covering this firing lane, so I will get some free shots at him eventually. Next up, pretty sure I just run my Locust up. So I keep it behind the rock over here because A, it's my most fragile mech. B, that Great Worm might be able to get a decent line on him. I mean, there's level 2 here, level 3 here. If I went here, which is where my movement would take me, I think he would have had line of sight on me. I didn't want to risk it, so I just went behind this level 2 here, kept my Locust safe for later on in the match. Don't want him taking free shots for no reason. And my Peregrine, here, oh wait, his Lupus moves up, crosses the river, my Peregrine jumps up. So we're all moving, you know, as a pack. Let's pull up the combat log. I can remember to pull it up ahead of time next time. And here is the combat log. Alrighty then, you've got the combat log up, and we have the actual dice roll log on as well, because Pirate has a theory, but sometimes the RNG gets stuck and it likes to roll the same numbers over and over again. Like 3, 3, 3, 3, which is, you know, 4 threes in a row. Single set of dice right there. But getting into the firing for turn 1, looks like a whole lot of whiffing. Yep, absolutely nothing hits on round 1. No surprise there. That's generally how round 1 goes in most matches. Maybe you'll hit with something, but you're generally looking at 10s and 11s, sometimes 12s. Maybe if you've got pulse lasers, 9s. But you're just doing Hail Marys that first turn on any shots you have available. And going into round 2, I win initiative. So let's go ahead and get into that. As soon as it switches over, here we go. Round 2. This is the first move is Great Worm moves up from behind. Oh no, that's not where I want to be. There we go. This Great Worm moves up from right behind his Lupus, just closing the gap, getting into this firing lane right here. Got a little bit of cover from that light woods, right where he wants to be. Alrighty, my next move, or my first move of this turn, is getting my Fire Scorpion back to where he should have been last turn. So I'm still covering this line of fire here. This is one of the only lanes you can really occupy with an all-ground list. Climbing over these hills, I mean, you're going to have almost no TMM and be exposed if you get up to this level 3 or level 5X. Level 3, you'll be safe because you're behind 2 level 5s, but as soon as you go over the top, you're just not going to have a TMM. You're going to be easy pickings. So it's not really worth it to attempt that. So it's my first move. He moves his Mongoose up, which you'd think he would have ran it further, but I guess he's afraid of my Locust running up and backstabbing it, or the Peregrine and the Phoenix Hawk jumping up and getting into close range on it. So he's keeping it back, covering it with the Great Worm, and keeping it in this woods here. Next up, I move my Lupus up, just a straight up run as close as I can to the enemy team, because this is my brawler, even though he's got a bit of range on him. But I'm basically taking the middle ground and forcing him to react to me and seeing what he does. Lupus is the tankiest mech, well, second tankiest mech on my list. The Fire Scorpion does have more armor, but the Lupus can take shots just as well. The Peregrine, I jump up. Pirate responds by running his Locust 2C up. I don't know why he moved it here. The Locust is fast. His Lupus moved up as well. This spot right here is a little dangerous. Yes, he has a total of 2 TMM, but he's got these depth 1 waters that are right here that are preventing him from running up here and getting into these woods or whatever. I understand he wants to keep the distance and he's got clan tech weapons, so he's at medium range on most of them on my Lupus here, but he's only got a 2 TMM and this is a Locust. That's not where you really want to be as far as TMM is concerned. So I got my Peregrine down here to the woods. He runs his... Oh, that's my turn. I jump my Phoenix Hawk over here. I mistakenly jumped it behind this level 2 hex. I thought this hex was also level 2. It is not. It is level 0. So I can't shoot anything with it currently unless he moves into this line of fire or this little line of fire here, crosses this line. That was a oops on my part. I should have jumped it right here into these woods on this level 3 hex, which I did have the distance to go there, but I didn't. So I would have gotten a couple more shots off this turn with it if I had jumped it to the proper hex and paid attention to the map, which I didn't. Again, it happens to the best of us. Next up, pretty sure I've moved almost everything except, yep, my Locust. So he charges my Lupus with his Mercury. That thing had a pretty good long run to get that charge off. So he's got a +4 TMM on a run. I think that means he ran for at least 10 hexes, which means that charge is gonna hurt like hell. That is not good for me. My only move left is the Locust when it comes to the firing phase. You can imagine, here we go, I move my Locust up to get good shots onto his Locust. I've got a pretty good TMM on mine, at least 3. And yeah, I did kind of throw the Locust out here as bait, but he walked or ran with some of his mechs, or a lot of his mechs. I ran with the Locust. I have a decent TMM. I'm going to be at least at medium range. If I get hit once or twice, it's not the end of the world on the Locust. So I felt safe doing this. But that Mercury needs to go down, and we're going to get into the combat log because I do not want to take a 10 hex charge from anything, even if it's only a 20-ton mech. So let's get into it. I do make my piloting check to land in heavy woods with the Horned Owl, and he makes his mask roll. So here's the dice parse log. Let's go ahead and get into the firing phase. So his Mongoose is shooting at my Locust, and he needs 8s, which is a very low number. And had I known he only needed 8s, I probably wouldn't have gone there. That is scary. I got lucky here. He rolled a little under par. He should probably hit with 2 of these. So I take 1 blow there. His Locust, on the other hand, unloads into my Lupus and just chips away. Hits with a lot of those ER smalls, only needing 8s. So there you go. That's the makeup call. He hits with almost all of them, if I'm not mistaken. I think he misses 2 of the 6. And then my Lupus, I fire it at the... oh no, this is his Lupus. Sorry. His Lupus also fires at my Lupus, hits with 1 medium pulse laser. I'm a little surprised he didn't go for the Locust. I'm pretty sure he needed worse numbers, but I mean, if you need an 8 or a 9 to hit the Locust, you might as well go for that instead of the Lupus. But maybe he wants to focus down my 1 big boy threat. I'm not entirely sure. But he ends up missing with most of his weapons, only hitting 1 with that Lupus. And in return, my Locust unloads into his Locust 2C. I chew through a little bit of his left torso and right torso armor. So another good hit there. And on either of those torsos for more than 2 damage, and that goes internal. Now for the part where I get ridiculously lucky, I need 10s. Oh, I need 12s, I'm sorry, to hit with this Ultra Auto Cannon 10. And I rolled the 12, and I got both shots to hit. First shot takes off the right arm of the Mercury, 2 damage transfers to the right torso. And then the second shot destroys the left torso. Our armor goes internal, no crit. I missed with the LB-10X. His Great Worm unloads on my Locust, planks it a little bit with some of those ER mediums. See, it can take a bit of a hit. Hits it with the UAC 2, and I do get a foot and an upper leg hit on my Locust. So he's not in good shape right now. He's not going to be quite as fast as he should be for the rest of this match. But I did kind of leave him out there as bait to get shot. So worse for wear, yeah, but it is kind of what I expected, throwing him out. Next up is the weapons fire for my Lupus. On the other hand, I need 8s to hit this. I need 8s to hit this Mercury, and I nail him. And I nail him in the right leg, which, if I'm not mistaken, I may have already hit earlier. Maybe I didn't. What are the fire scorpion hit? Right arm, right torso, left torso. Nope. Okay, never mind. Lupus just takes out the leg with 10 damage. Section destroyed, critical hit, roll. Roll is 12, limb blown off. Straight up. I don't know if 10 damage was enough to destroy the leg and then it got crit and got blown off, or if the 10 damage just crit, or I just got lucky and got leg blown off on the crit. And the ER medium hits the right torso. So the Mercury's charge is canceled because he no longer has a leg, and he's sitting on the floor right in front of my Lupus. I don't have good numbers to kick it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. There we go. I make my PSR on my Lupus. He automatically falls with his Mercury. Takes a little bit more damage. You know, nothing really spectacular. My Locust succeeds at his piloting checks, for which is surprising. I needed 7s on both because he's a 5 pilot, and I have the leg and foot actuator as a penalty, and I make both of those checks, which I was expecting the Locust to fall and hip itself or something. Physical attack phase, I miss the kick, but I don't fall, and his charge is canceled. So that's what I wanted. I didn't want to get charged, and I got real lucky doing some damage to that Lupus, but I also got real lucky hitting him in the leg with that large pulse laser and just taking that leg off and canceling that charge, because that would have hurt that poor little Lupus if he connected with that. So nothing really to write home about at heat. Everybody's floating outside of penalty range. And let's look at the initiative. I win initiative for the next round. Let's go ahead and get into it. Interesting. So that's before. There's a little transition into the next round. Squared over in the O2 Discord. There's a lot of AI art. He made that. Okay, so here's the Mercury. Okay, so here's the Mercury, legged and prone and jammed, not in a good spot. So the Mercury's always going to be Pirate's first move because it can't move anymore. You can twist it, but he's keeping his back up against the hill, which is probably for the best, and he's keeping his lines of fire open in this area to cover anything here. He could, I think, maybe twist one, possibly, and cover this back area, or twist this way to cover this front area and cover his own rears. But that Mercury's pretty much done at this point. I think he lost a limb, an arm earlier, and a leg. So turn one firing, he's basically down a mech, which is good for me, bad for him. RNGesus went my way there. But this match is not over yet, as we'll see. So scooch up the Fire Scorpion on my first turn. Nothing to write home about, just bringing him into the fight, keeping this line of fire in this lane open. He moves up his Lupus to cross the river, and I jump my Phoenix Hawk out of this little hidey hole here and up onto a cliff. So this is a level 5 hill, and I don't think he has anything that can reach me. Maybe he could get up there with the Mongoose. Maybe he could get up there with the Locust 2C, because he'd have to go level 2 to 3 to 6 or to 5 to 6. So he's going to have almost no TMM if he does go up there, and I'm just going to turn around and hit him with 2 pulse lasers. So it's not ideal for him to get into melee with this Phoenix Hawk or try to get in my rear arc here, even though I'm really close. I'm actually a lot further than by land than I am by air. So my range is, I'm at medium range, I do believe, 1, 2, 3, 4 for my ER mediums, or short, or I'm at medium for my medium pulses on this Phoenix Hawk. So I've got decent shots lined up on this Lupus, which is why I jumped the Phoenix Hawk here. Next up, I think it's Pirate's move. Yes, it is. He moves his Great Worm up, covering this little gap here. And I do believe I'm going to jump my Horned Owl to the rear of this Great Worm. So I don't know if I'm getting rear shots. I think I might be, because it goes back 1 and then spreads. So I should be in the rear arc here. But I don't have the best shots. So because I jumped and he moved, and I'm going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4. I should be at medium. Oh no, I got pulse laser. So I'm at medium range, which cancels out the medium range penalty, but it's still not great shots. So now it's his turn to move, which I'm sure he moves either the Locust or the Mongoose. Yep, there we go. So he runs his Mongoose along the top end of this to try and start harassing my poor little Fire Scorpion and maybe set up to get in the rear arc of my Lupus. But I turn the tables and just kind of moonwalk my Lupus backwards, while covering myself from fire from his Lupus and his Great Worm, and I get into melee range of the Mongoose. I'm at point blank, I got pulse lasers, I should have decent shots to hit this little guy. You do not want to be in melee with a much bigger mech when speed is your only defense. Next up, I think it's his Locust 2C. Yep, he runs it up this way to try and get more shots on the Phoenix Hawk. And I'm going to be sneaky and pull my Locust into the rear of his Great Worm right here and get back shots on this thing. It's a 45 tonner, so it's got a decent bit of armor, but medium pulse laser, I think, will go internal on it, if I remember correctly. So let's go ahead and pull up the combat log, see how firing for turn 3 goes. Here we are. Mongoose for Pirate back here unloads into my Lupus. He does hit with, he needs 6s, and he only hits with 2. He does bonk me in the head with a small laser because we're at point blank range, so all the hit numbers are the same. So that's well below par for a Pirate there. Luck definitely not going his way. And I unload into the rear. No, it says left side. I guess I'm not in the rear of the Great Worm. So get him in his left torso, right leg, center torso. I do light him up with all 3 of my pulse lasers on my Peregrine, so I do a decent bit of damage with this Great Worm. This Locust 2C unloads into my Phoenix Hawk, needing only a 7 with that medium pulse laser. And then he needs 11s for all those ER smalls, and he only hits with 1. Big difference there from a medium pulse laser to an ER small. Factor of 4, which is huge when it comes to the odds on the dice. And my Locust in the rear arc of the Great Worm unloads and does terrible, terrible things to this poor little Great Worm. I go internal on the left torso with the first medium pulse laser. I hit the left torso rear again with the small pulse laser. Go internal. He's only got 6 internal structure left. No critical effect, but then I get internal with the medium pulse laser onto his center torso rear, and I get a double engine crit, which is not good for an inner sphere mech. I mean, he's got a good amount of heat sinks, but still 10 extra heat every turn. That's half your heat gone. Not to mention you're 1 crit away from just being dead. And I hit the left torso again with the small pulse laser. So that's some really good clustering out of this Locust. 3 shots all to the same location, and 1 to the center torso that goes internal and gets a double crit. That's some good luck, definitely going my way. And the Great Worm unloads into my Fire Scorpion, plinking away with 2 ER mediums. Alram 10 misses. He plinks for 2 more each with his 2 UAC 2s, only needing 6s. So he's returning fire, but I'm getting the upper hand so far. My Phoenix Hawk fires a snub nose and misses, and a medium laser into the Locust 2C. I hit the Locust in the left torso, goes internal, no crit. So 1 medium laser is enough to go internal, which is scary. Although I think I did hit it earlier with my Locust. So. And then the Lupus, which is gonna kind of even the odds here for Pirate. He nails my Phoenix Hawk with the medium pulse laser. He gets a crit my lower leg with this LB20X and hits with 16 pellets. Damn, that was a lot of damage. I'm surprised I only got 1 crit there. And then whiffs with an ER large, or ER small, sorry. It's a clan spec laser. Okay. And then my Lupus unloads into the Mongoose. I hit him in the right leg with the large pulse. Doesn't go internal, just shaves off the majority of his armor. And then my Fire Scorpion hits Mongoose with an Ultra Autocannon 10. Only 1 shot hits, and he takes 10 damage to the CT on the Mongoose. So he's only got 2 armor left on the center torso and the right leg. Anything that I shoot at him will go internal in those locations. A decent round for Pirate, a decent round for me as well. He connected pretty hard with that LB20X, but I got internal into the Great Worm. When it goes into piling checks, Phoenix Hawk succeeds, needing 2 6s. Mongoose and Great Worm both succeeding theirs. And physical, Mongoose kicks my Lupus. My Lupus goes to punch. No, I'm sorry. My Lupus misses the kick on the Mongoose. Great Worm punches the Locust into the right torso, which I wasn't expecting. I knew he could torso twist, but I completely forgot about punching. I figured he fired weapons and didn't have a free hand for punching. But my Locust kicks the Great Worm. Nothing really there. Everybody succeeds. Nobody falls from the kicks. But his Great Worm is now up to 9 heat after those 2 engine hits, which is good for me, bad for him. My Peregrine overheated for those rear shots and is up to 7 heat, so I'm gonna have to cool off this turn and not fire probably that large pulse laser or both of those medium pulse lasers. Okay, so Pirate makes initiative, goes to tie, and then Pirate wins. So I'm on first move in this next round. Let's go ahead and get into it. I think that is a Jaeger mech right here. So next round, I'm up first. This is the Aftermath. You can see I'm already got the Great Worm in force withdrawal. Doesn't really mean anything, but it is crippled technically already with those 2 engine crits. So I think I just jumped my Phoenix Hawk. Not mistaken. Oh, nope, Pirate moves his Mercury. And I jump my Peregrine. There we go. So I go from one little perch over here to the other. I'm covering the rears of the Great Worm and the Lupus, making it so that if they do decide to move up, they're going to be exposing their rears to this Peregrine. So they have to kind of corralling them away from their side of the map. But I'm also kind of saying, hey, come at me, bro. And if they want to turn around, they're going to put their backs out to my Locust and my other Phoenix Hawk. Speaking of which, I jump my Phoenix Hawk up to help cover the Peregrine, just in case they try to get up close. They're going to get fire from 2 mechs if they decide to turn around. Next up, Pirate moves his Great Worm. That's probably as far as he could go, considering he was up on heat and the thing's not that quick to begin with. And I take the risk and... oh wait, nope, not yet. I move my Fire Scorpion up with my rear up against the back wall here, so he doesn't get free rear shots on me. But I am covering this line of fire still. I cannot see the Great Worm, but if he decides to hide with the rest of his mechs, I can at least get shots in this Mercury that's prone and not moving here. So depending on where he goes, I have something to shoot at with this Fire Scorpion, which is the slowest mech on my list. He comes around the rock with his Locust, and I move my Lupus up into the forest to help cover the Fire Scorpion, because the Fire Scorpion right now, it's a quad mech, so it can't torso twist, so that Locust is completely safe and unthreatened until I move my Lupus down here. And now I can get at least some shots on the Locust to punish it for getting this close. And next up is... Okay, next up is the Mongoose, who comes around this way as well. Looks like he's going to be focusing on either the Lupus or the Fire Scorpion. And if I remember correctly, he goes all in on the Fire Scorpion with his two light mechs over here. And at this point, I think now that the two other fast mechs are accounted for, I move my Locust up to the rear of the Great Worm to try and hit those center torso, or try and hit those rear torsos again with these pulse lasers. I am kind of baiting with the Locust here, and he moves his Lupus to where I don't get any rear shots from the Peregrine or the Phoenix Hawk, but he also doesn't have really any TMM to speak of from where he moved, so I should have decent shots even though I jumped, and they're going to be at medium to long range with the Phoenix Hawk and the Peregrine here. So that's it for the movement for this round. Let's go ahead and get into the combat log. So this is round 4. Firing phase, and I go in with the Locust at the left arm, and then I hit the center torso rear, and I get a crit on the engine. Bam. That was ideal. That is exactly what I was hoping for. Great Worm's dead. Yay. That's a lot of battle value off the table, and one less mech for me to worry about. I also double crit the gyro. Yay. From hitting the left torso rear. So the Locust did his job. If he dies now, he'll have paid more than double his battle value back in damage. Next up is the Mongoose, which fires into the Lupus, surprisingly, not into the Fire Scorpion. He probably had better numbers on the Lupus, only needing 6s, and he hits with a good portion of them, just shaving away at the armor. My left arm, center torso, and he splits fire into the Fire Scorpion, needing only 6s, which means he probably only needed 4s to hit that, or 4s or 5s to hit that Fire Scorpion instead. But deciding to focus on the Lupus, which is arguably the bigger threat. Next up, the Locust 2C unloads into the Fire Scorpion, point blank range, needing 6s across the board, and he misses with 1, 2, 3 on those ER small lasers. Hits with the medium pulse laser, does a lot of damage. All said and done, he takes at least 20 something damage from this little Locust 2C. So that's a good hefty portion of my armor. I mean, he's shaving away. No one location is really that exposed yet, but that's a good solid connection there. The Phoenix Hawk 2C, or I'm sorry, the PHX-1C, not a Phoenix Hawk 2C, sorry. The Phoenix Hawk connects with the snub nose on the left leg of the Lupus, and the medium laser misses. Great Worm shoots at the Phoenix Hawk as well. One of the Ultra Auto Cannons misses, one of them hits, the LRM-10 hits, shaving away at the armor on the Phoenix Hawk. I've only got 3 armor in the left torso and 4 in the right arm remaining. But the Horned Owl unloads into the Lupus with the large pulse laser, because I didn't have the heat sinks to really fire much else, and I needed to cool off. Right leg takes 10 damage. So not clustering in the torsos, just kind of poking around at the Lupus, which is a very tanky mech, honestly. And the Lupus returns fire and does a LP-20X slug shot to the center torso of my poor little Locust, which probably is more than double the total armor and structure that Locust had, and just cores it out. The Locust traded its life for the Great Worm. He did his job. Sacrifice be not forgotten. And my Lupus unloads in the Mongoose at point blank range, and shaving off the armor on this damn thing, but not really getting any crits, not slowing it down. It's still fully combat effective. As Mercury unloads in the Fire Scorpion, my Fire Scorpion fires back. My LBX-10 does connect with his Lupus and just shaves some armor away with only 4 pallets. Missed with the UAC-10 on 9s. So Fire Scorpion not really connecting there, but it didn't have the line of fire on the mechs I really wanted to shoot at. So I'd rather shoot at the Lupus than shoot at the poor little mech that's on the floor. Next up, everybody succeeds at their piloting checks. When it comes to taking damage in physical attack phase, the Mongoose kicks the Fire Scorpion, but since it's a quad mech, I only need a 3, and I roll a 3, so I succeed. Not falling, barely. So, into the heat phase, my Lupus is up to 6 heat, because I unloaded a little bit there, and didn't quite get the results I wanted. So, we're both down a mech. So we basically traded, so we're both in decent positions. That was a lot of battle value for Pirate, not a lot for me off the Locust. But he does have position on me, and I win initiative. So now he's got to move first. Let's go ahead, get back to the map, see what he moves first. Oh, hey, what do you know? More than likely, his first move is going to be that Mercury. Yep, there it is. So I jump my Peregrine back over here into the hex it was before to cover this middle area, which is where the Kerfluffle is. He decides to pull his Mongoose back from being in melee range with the Fire Scorpion and go up to the north and go around the rock. So that way he's got a little bit of cover. My next move, I move the Phoenix Hawk up. This is the mech he's been focusing on. So I kind of want to dangle it here to see if he'll give me rear shots with either the Peregrine or if I can finagle it with the Lupus, because we're both down to 4 mechs. I'm at 4 functional mechs. He's at 3.5 currently. So now it's his move. He's got to move either the Lupus or the Locust 2C. And he decides to move the Lupus up. He basically does the little moonwalk maneuver I did previously and gets into point blank range with my Phoenix Hawk, which is not great. The Phoenix Hawk is gonna take some damage here for sure. And he's protected right now, so I have to come out and expose my rear with the Lupus to this Locust. So instead of going after the Lupus, which is a very hard target, I move up to the north and try to get shots onto the Mongoose with my Pulse Laser and my UAC-10, which are going to be at short range at 4 hexes away. So I figured if I can get rid of a mech, I'll be in a much better situation. Functional mech, not the Mercury that's already on the floor. So he decides to run his Locust 2C up into point blank with my Phoenix Hawk. That's his next target of choice there. All 3 of his mechs are going to focus down on my Phoenix Hawk. And my Fire Scorpion can't do all that much. I just move up to try and get some sort of shots on this Locust 2C. So let's go ahead and pull up the combat log and see how this goes. Alrighty then, there's all the rolls there. So his Mongoose nails my Phoenix Hawk, needing 8, surprisingly. Not ideal for the Phoenix Hawk. Remember, I'm only jumping for 6 at most, which means I'm missing out on that 1 TMM, which he would have missed both of those shots if I jumped for 7 instead of 6. And the Lupus B unloads. Ooh, this looks bad. Connects with both of the medium pulse lasers, only needing 5s. Nails me with an ER small, goes internal on my left torso and crits a jump jet. Hits with another ER small, hits my machine gun ammo, and I'm destroyed by engine destruction because it's got an XL engine, if I'm not mistaken, in the left torso. He also connects with the LB-20X. Granted, it hits nothing but armor, so if it weren't for that through armor, well, not through armor, if it weren't for that crit on the machine gun ammo, which was a full ton. Granted, that has case, but I mean, oh well. Phoenix Hawk goes boom. He is done. Pirate, also with his Locust 2C, unloads on the Phoenix Hawk, which is already dead. He gets 2 engine crits there. Doesn't matter. I'm sure the Phoenix Hawk is done for after that ammo explosion. And his Mercury unloads onto the Fire Scorpion, surprisingly. Oh no, that's the one that's point blank in prone. He does hit the Fire Scorpion for a little bit more damage, shaving away at that armor. Only got 7 left on the right torso on the Fire Scorpion. My Phoenix Hawk doesn't really connect with anything. I need 7s, and I only hit 1 7 on 5 shots, which is well below par. I hit with 1 medium laser on the Lupus. Oof, not good. Not a good death knell there. My Lupus, on the other hand, does unload in the left torso of his Lupus. So I'm shaving away at his armor. He's got 7 left in the left torso. I also nail him with the UAC 10 in the left torso for 10. Goes internal, no crit. So he's got 1 exposed torso, which is okay. And then I execute the Mercury with the Fire Scorpion. That's what he gets for shooting at me. He was sitting there not doing anything. I need 4s to hit him with the UAC 10. I nail him with 2 shots and just core him out. So he's done, which means he doesn't have something to initiative sync with anymore. And my Horned Owl connects in the Lupus, shaving away at the armor, slowly but surely. 18 in the center torso remaining on that Lupus B, and 1 armor remaining on the right leg. My Lupus makes a Python check to stay standing. Heat-wise, his Mongoose is overheating at 5 heat. His Lupus is at 5 heat, and I'm completely cleared. Everything's at 0 heat on my end, which is, I don't think I can generate much heat. Going into the initiative phase, Pirate wins initiative this round. Ooh, all right. Let's see what we can do about it. So I am now on the back foot. Granted, I do have my 2 biggest mechs up, but he just cored out my Phoenix Hawk with the ammo crit. So now it's 3-on-3. I picked off his weak mech here. My big boys have had a lot of armor shaven off of them between the Lupus and the Fire Scorpion. His Lupus has had a decent amount of armor shaved off it. I've poked the Locust 2C a bit. I've connected on the Mongoose a good bit. And my Horned Owl is unscathed, completely undamaged, I do believe, at this point in the match. And it's going to get interesting. So I lose initiative, which means I have to move first. So I jump my Peregrine up to the middle to kind of cover my bases here, and also kind of dangle him a bit so he can get some shots on him. He's got the highest TMM. The Fire Scorpion's vulnerable right now. The Locust and Mongoose can converge on it very easily. The Lupus is not, I don't want to say out of position, but I'm not in a great position to back up that Fire Scorpion. I'd have to walk backwards 5 hexes, or 4 hexes, and then twist, and that's it. That's all I can do. I can just cover this lane, or I can continue around and go towards his Lupus, which is not where I want to be because he's got a LB20X and I don't. So the closer I am to that Lupus, the more danger I'm in. So he runs his Mongoose up to the rear arc of my Horned Owl. He ran, I jumped, bad shots, which is fine. And I've got full armor, and he has only got medium lasers. I can take a couple medium lasers to the rear torso. I do the same maneuver that I did a few turns ago. I moonwalk my Lupus right into melee with the Mongoose. He's exposing it and walking, he's running. So I should have decent shots. He's got a +3 TMM. I've got +1 to my shooting, but I've also got that large pulse laser. Kind of help out with the target numbers. Next up, I've got to move my Fire Scorpion after he moves his Locust to gang up on my Lupus. I don't know if he's going to torso twist and shoot at the Peregrine or just unload everything into the Lupus at this point. I'm not entirely sure what his target priority is, and his Lupus can get around. I can't really protect or hide the Fire Scorpion from his Lupus no matter which way I go. He's going to get shots on me. So I just take a step back, stay in melee with the Locust 2C, and get a little bit of cover in the woods. That's as good of a TMM as I'm going to be able to get, unfortunately, without giving up rear shots to the Lupus, which is not ideal, as you can imagine. He just moves his Lupus up. I'm pretty sure that was a walk. Yes, it was. And let's get into the combat log here. There it is. Okay, combat log. So his Mongoose unloads into my Lupus, not into my Peregrine, needing only 6s. So shaving away at the armor. This thing's tanky, but if he focuses it down for long enough, he's gonna put it down. My lupus unloads into his lupus. I do crit his right leg, and I do crit out that LBX with a through armor crit, I do believe, because it still has 11 armor in that right torso. So there we go, getting a little bit of a makeup crit for that ammo hit earlier. His Locust 2C unloads into my lupus as well, needing only 6s and a 4 with that medium pulse laser, and connects with everything. Shaving away at the armor, goes internal in the left torso, no crit. 20 damage to right. So he does go internal on the left torso, which isn't that big of a deal on the lupus, honestly, but he does bonk me in the head once. Next up, the lupus unloads into the fire scorpion. And, he gets LB20, takes 20 damage to my right rear leg. Gets a 3 armor crit on that. Ouch. Needs 5, rolls 8, critical. He rolls an 8. How did he get a critical? That's weird. Interesting. Anyway, he gets, I guess I had 24 armor there because there's 4 armor remaining, and he doesn't get a roll on the crit chart, or doesn't make the roll on the crit chart. There's an ER medium that nails my front left leg, another ER medium that nails my right rear leg, which is where he just got nailed with the LB20. Goes internal, no crit, hits it again, that same right rear leg with the medium pulse laser. With a medium pulse laser, I've got 5 internal structure remaining, but he gets the crit this time and blows the limb completely off. Damn, that is some good clustering. I guess that's the makeup for the clustering I got in the Great Worm earlier. Nails the front right leg twice again, the medium pulse laser and ER small laser. Wow, that's some really good clustering. And my Fire Scorpion misses with the UAC on 6s, but does connect with the LB10X on 6s onto the Lupus. He takes 10 damage to the left torso, has 1 internal structure remaining, and my Horned Owl nails the Locust 2C with 1 medium pulse laser. I think that was all I could hit him with in the rear arc, because that was the only shot I had. So I had to torso twist and turn around. So his Lupus fails the piloting skill roll, needing 9s, because I nailed him in his hip and the foot, and he's his base of 4. Rolls a 6 and falls. He crits out his LB20 again, and he blows off his arm, landing on his left torso, which only had 1 structure remaining. So he's now missing half of his mech. He does take the piloting damage from the fall. My Lupus also falls. Doesn't go internal. It does go internal in my right torso and my right leg, but no crits happen. I do make the seatbelt check on 7s and take no piloting damage, but the Fire Scorpion falls on the left side. So it's a quad mech. I lost a leg, and now I have an ammo explosion to the left torso, and I lose my other leg because I landed on my left torso on a critical roll. I had 17 armor remaining in the left torso, so it's another through armor crit on the ammo. So this is 2 of my mechs that have had tacks on ammo and have gone kaboom. So now I'm missing 2 legs in the Fire Scorpion, which means it's no longer standing up again. He takes 2 piloting hits from the explosion, takes a 3rd from the fall because he doesn't make the seatbelt check on 12s. So yeah, my Fire Scorpion's not looking good. That's some good crit rolls there coming out of Pirate. Into the Fistica phase, which I was hoping to be able to kick that little Locust with my big old Fire Scorpion, which isn't happening now because he's on the ground. The Mongoose kicks the Lupus and goes internal on my Lupus on the right torso because he's already on the ground from falling from taking too much damage earlier. And his Locust also kicks my Lupus. So I'm down to 18 internal structure on the center torso. He gets no crits from the kicks, thankfully. Pirate's Lupus is at 12 heat, his Locust 2C is at 6 heat, and his Mongoose is at 7 heat. So everything's overheating, everything's going to be a little bit slowed down. The Lupus is going to be a good bit slowed down and have penalties to hit. My Lupus is at 3 heat, my Fire Scorpion's at 0 heat, of course, and my Horned Owl is also at 0 heat because I only fired that 1 medium laser. So I really need to win initiative. We're on round 7, and I win initiative. Yay! What do you know? Let's go ahead and get into the map again and see how this plays out. So this was a big round for Pirate. He basically immobilized my Fire Scorpion. I'm amazed he's still awake, but he's pretty much done. He's never leaving this hex again. My Lupus is not looking good. I'm in force withdrawal on the Lupus. I don't know if it's because he went internal in multiple locations, because I don't think I have any engine hits currently. So he backs up with the Mongoose. I don't move my Fire Scorpion because I can't move. He doesn't move his Lupus because he can't move his Lupus. I do believe it's because he was overheating, missing an arm, and had crits on his hip and foot. So the piling check would be real bad for him if he had enough movement to get up on top of that. So it's on me now, and I just jump back with the Peregrine to chase the Mongoose. Not great shots because he's in the heavy woods and I jumped and he ran, but I need to try and damage something here. And I don't really want to get too close to that Lupus with the Peregrine. And he decides to run after the Peregrine with the Locust and leaves the Fire Scorpion and my Lupus to his Lupus, which is still on the floor. And I can get into melee range with my Lupus, and I do so because I want to put that thing down because it's real scary. I got rid of most of his weapons. He's missing the LB-20, so I'm not afraid to go at him with my Lupus because I still have a good amount of armor left. Well, a good amount of structure left. Well, most of my armor's gone. But I feel like I can win this Lupus on Lupus duel at this point with a little bit of backup from the Fire Scorpion if I can get lucky and get some shots off or get some shots to connect. I can shoot with him. He's just prone and he's within my front arc, which is the only arc I have on the Fire Scorpion. So where the Fire Scorpion fell is basically the most ideal position it could have fallen because I can cover this way on this firing line and I can cover all the way this way on this firing line. The only way to get in the rear arc is to enter this depth 2 water hex. So let's go ahead and pull up the combat log for this turn. Find it. There we go. So his Lupus, or my Lupus, gets up and gets into melee. There's the piling check for that. His Mongoose fires at my Peregrine, nails me in the left leg. His Locust 2C needs a 6 with the medium pulse laser and misses with the 4. And then he needs 8s on all these ER smalls and rolls a bit under par. It only hits with 2 out of the 6 or 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah, 7. Yeah, he only hits with 2 out of 7. So a little bit under par, I think, which is good for me. I got 8 armor left in my center torso and 4 in the left arm. This is the first time this Peregrine has been hit all game. And my Lupus goes up, needs 2s with a large pulse laser, and goes internal on his right torso. The UAC 10 connects with 2 shots, destroys his right leg. So now that Lupus is never getting up again, or at least not getting out of that hex. Crits out the lower leg, it's gone. That doesn't matter. Goes internal on the right torso. He's got 5 structure left there. ER medium hits his center torso. He's down 11 armor. His Lupus fires an ER small at my Lupus and crits a double heat sink in my left torso. The Fire Scorpion fires the LB-10X, which is the only weapon I have left because the UAC 10 ammo got kablooied. I go internal on his right torso, which has 4 structure left with a pellet, and that's it. I only need 6s to hit. Maybe I should have gone for the solid slug and went for the 10 damage on 7s, but I need more damage is more better, so... And he was already exposed in a couple spots, so I went for the crit fishing with the LBX, which didn't give me any crit fish, unfortunately. The Peregrine does unload onto the Locust 2C because he was at point blank range, only needed 8s, so he gave me better shots on the Locust than what I had on that Mongoose. And I do bonk him in the head, which is not where I wanted to bonk him. I missed the large pulse laser on 8s, and I hit with the medium pulse laser on 8s and hit him in the head, which I was hoping to hit him anywhere else, where he's got... I hit him in the one place he has enough armor to take that full medium pulse laser shot. So not ideal, but also not terrible. He does make his consciousness check, only needing 3s. In a for fisticuff phase, I'm too high and he's behind me on the Horned Owl, I think, so I can't get a kick there. But my Lupus does kick his Lupus, and it goes internal on the right arm, and crits out his right hand actuator. So now his Mongoose is at 2 heat, his Locust 2C is at 6 heat, and my Lupus A is at 5 heat, a little overheated, not terrible, and my Peregrine is at 4 heat. So I'm going to have to cut back on weapons this next turn if I want to stay frosty. Initiative goes to Pirate, which is not ideal. Not fun for me. But since I've got 2 prone mechs, and I'm getting Zerg rushed by his 2 little fast boys here, I'd have no reason not to move the Fire Scorpion first. He has no reason not to move his Lupus first, which is exactly what we do. And I pull my Lupus back to cover my Fire Scorpion and to block my rear arc from his Lupus. I feel like I can finish off this Lupus at any time now. You can see it's really low. It's got a bit of armor left on the center torso still, so it's not just a free kill, but I want to help out my Horned Owl at this point and give him some tough decisions to make, which he does make one. He runs into this heavy woods with his Mongoose, and if you can't tell, I have the opportunity to trap him here. So if I win initiative next turn, the Fire Scorpion's not moving, it's staying there forever. I'm internal on a few places in this Mongoose, so if he enters that depth 2 water, he's going to core himself out, or at least if he doesn't core himself out, he's going to damage his mech by a lot. And that's exactly what I do. I move my Horned Owl right into melee and I run. I don't jump. I want as low target numbers as possible. I'm in the woods, so I'm basically at TMM3 anyway. If I would have jumped, I would have only jumped for 4 hexes, so it made sense to just run here to this wood hex and give myself lower targeting numbers on the Mongoose. So he moves his Locust 2C up just a little bit. Like, he just basically turns him around the corner to get shots on the Peregrine on the rear arc, which is fine. I don't have shots on him with the Lupus, so my shots are going to go into the Mongoose. And the Peregrine is definitely going to unload in that Mongoose at point blank. And I have shots on to his Lupus with my Scorpion, Fire Scorpion. So his Mongoose unloads into my Fire Scorpion, doing terrible, terrible things. He hits the ammo bin on the right torso after going internal on it, after unloading with all of his medium lasers. And his small laser gets the ammo bin finally after going internal. So that's 2 more pilot hits. I'm at 5 hits, and now I need a 10 to stay conscious, which I roll a 6 and don't. So he's done. I took 100 damage to the right torso from the ammo explosion, which blows off my other right leg, so I'm definitely not going anywhere. And then my Lupus fires at the Mongoose, destroying his left arm, which is not great. I would have preferred a leg at this point, but I'll take it. So now it transfers to the left torso, and the crit transfers as well, apparently. But he's got 2 armor remaining, so nothing to write home about there. His Locust 2C needs a 5 to hit my Horned Owl in the rear arc and misses with a 3. He needs 9s for the rest of those ER smalls, only hits with 2. One of those crits out a jump jet from my right rear torso, which isn't great, but I'll take it. It's better than hitting the engine or something else like that. And my Fire Scorpion unloads onto his Lupus, not getting any crits. I do hit with 6 pellets again, just shaving away at that Lupus at this point. It's already on the ground and is mostly combat ineffective. The Lupus also fires its ER small into my Fire Scorpion, damaging him a little bit further. And the Peregrine hits the Locust 2C with the medium pulse laser, because he was already a little toasty. And I figured that Mongoose isn't going anywhere this turn, so I may as well get shots on something that I'm actually worried about. So the Mongoose kicks the Scorpion, hits him in the right torso in the center, and transfers to the center torso. So he's got 10 armor left in the CT. He's unconscious. My Peregrine goes to kick the Mongoose and misses and falls. So I take 4 damage to the left arm, so I got 0 armor remaining there. Not ideal. I needed a 5 and I rolled a 4. If I would have kicked, I think I would have either gone internal or kicked off a leg at this point, because I'm pretty sure I've hit him there already once or twice. So now his Mongoose is at 4 heat, his Locust 2C is at 7 heat, and everything else is at 0 heat. Going into round number 9, Pirate wins initiative again, which is not ideal for me, and we're going to go pull up the map and get back into this little kerfluffle visually, and this is where I think the match really takes a turn. So the Lupus, I turn him around, get him up onto this hill, and I'm just going to man up and try to kill his Lupus with my Lupus, because he's now got 3 mechs to my 2, because the Fire Scorpion is pretty much dead. The Fire Scorpion, of course, moves first, as well as the Lupus, no reason not to. And now I need to move the Horned Owl. He's prone. I really don't want to fail a PSR trying to stand up, and I really actually don't want to move out of this Hex, because this pesky little Mongoose that has been running around this whole damn time can't go anywhere. The only place he can move to is that depth 2 water, which is going to go internal on his torso that I've already exposed, and basically destroy half his mech if he does, which would be real easy pickings for me, let alone if he falls from, you know, taking damage or losing out a leg or whatever that might already be internal on at this point. So decide to just turn around with the Horned Owl, give up rear shots to the Lupus, and make it so that if the Locust wants to get rear shots on the Horned Owl, he's got to turn and expose himself to the Lupus here. I could have turned around the other way and put the back to the wall here, but I wanted to bait that Locust out this way. So instead, we're going to see happen. Oh, let's go back there just briefly. So what happens is he runs his Locust up onto this level 4 Hex. And this is something I was hoping to do with by putting my rear arc from the Peregrine here. Instead, he goes for the rear of the Lupus, and I arm flip with the Lupus, which is something that he didn't realize could happen until it was too late. He had already moved. So let's go ahead and pull up the combat log and see how this works out for him. Oh, there we go. Here's the combat log, right where we left off. So I make my careful stand roll, needing a 3. There we go. And his Mongoose unloads into my Fire Scorpion, goes for the called shot head, needs a 4, takes him out, executed him Ganglin style. Poor little guy, never had a chance. So the Fire Scorpion's dealt with and done. The Locust 2C, on the other hand, unloads into the Lupus on the right arc, not even the rear arc. He couldn't quite make it there. And he does do a lot of damage, to be fair. He needs 4s with the medium pulse laser and connects, and he needs 6s with his 7 ER smalls. And he connects with just about all of them. I think he only misses 1 or 2. No, he only misses 2. Yep. So he goes internal on the right leg, crits out my lower leg on the right leg, goes internal on the center torso, run arc. I have 13 structure remaining, gets an engine crit, and then he destroys the left torso, limb blown off. 3 damage transfers to the center torso and crits out a double heatsink there. Location has no hitable critical slots in the left torso. Wonderful. And 3 damage goes to the center torso and doesn't get a crit there. My Lupus unloads on his Lupus. Oh, no, I'm sorry. His Lupus unloads on my Lupus. There's too many Lupi going around. Goes internal on the right arm, no crit. Now my Lupus unloads on his Locust in the rear arc. I nail him with the large pulse laser, destroying his left torso, blowing off his left arm. 10 damage left torso, 7 damage transfers to the center torso, goes internal. He's got 4 structure remaining in the CT. My ER medium misses on 8s. My UAC 10 misses on 8s. If I would have nailed him with either one of those, I think I would have destroyed him outright that turn. My Horned Owl, on the other hand, unloads into the Mongoose. I crit out his active probe. He's got 0 armor remaining on the right torso. He's got 1 internal structure remaining on the left torso, which is destroyed by the time I hit him with the medium pulse laser. So he's got 4 structure remaining, center torso. 0 armor in the right torso, so he's lit up, but he's still mostly functional. He's missing half of his mech, losing that left torso, but he's still a threat. A mongoose succeeds in the piloting check. My lupus fails a piloting check and falls. He's got 3 pilot hits at this point from getting bonked and from falling. He has 5 internal structure remaining in the center torso. He does not go unconscious. So he's still alive and up and can shoot next turn. In the physical phase, I kick his mongoose. He goes down to 4 structure on the left leg, and his mongoose does not fall. So his mongoose is now at 1 heat. His locust 2C is now at 11 heat, and my lupus is at 6 heat from that engine hit I took her. And unfortunately, Pirate wins initiative again. This is like the 3rd time in a row, 3rd turn in a row, 3rd or 4th, I'm not sure. But it's not looking good for me. I'm basically down to mech and a half at this point versus his very damaged 3 mechs. This is going to come down to the wire. His lupus can't move, so doesn't. My lupus just uses careful stand to get up and to try and make it so that he's got to work for those rear arc shots. His mongoose runs into the forest to get left arc shots on my lupus. I jump to the rear to protect the rear arc of my lupus and also get shots on his mongoose at point blank range. His locust moves up on the hill. Not really much he could do there. As you can see, I'm unloading into his mongoose. My lupus is unloading into his lupus. And we're going to get into the combat log real soon here, because this match is coming to a close rather quickly. Because there's not a lot of armor left on almost any of these mechs here. So my lupus succeeds in standing up. His locust succeeds going backwards down in elevation. And my lupus unloads into Pirate's lupus. I destroy his right torso with the UAC 10. I crit out his gyro, so he was already not standing. Now he's really not standing. But the bad news is his mongoose comes in with the medium laser on, destroys my center torso with the medium laser for 5 damage. So my lupus is now dead and done. I do believe he focused it down with the rest of his mechs this turn, so no more reason to call out damage there. My Horned Owl only hits with 1 medium pulse laser on 8s after needing 8s for the large and 2 mediums, but I do go internal on the center torso. I blow off his right arm by destroying the right torso, and now he's only got 3 internal structure left on the center torso, and I get an engine crit, which is good. That's bad for that mongoose. The Locust 2C gets another crit on the lupus, which is moot at this point, and his lupus shoots at my lupus. Oh boy. Okay, physical attack phase. I missed the kick, but I thankfully don't fall, needing a 5, rolling a 5. I needed a 9 there. I shouldn't have probably kicked there on that high of a number, but I'm down to 1 mech and I'm desperate at this point. His mongoose is at 5 heat, his locust is at 4 heat, and my Horned Owl is at 3 heat. Finally win initiative, rolling boxcars on round 11 after like 4 turns of losing it. And I'm down to 1 mech. I've got my poor little Peregrine. He's got a lupus that's got like 4 structure left in the center torso. He's got his mongoose, which also has like 3 or 4 center structure left in the center torso. His locust is exposed in the center torso. I don't remember how much health it has, but I know 1 shot from any of my weapons to the center torso will destroy all 3 of his mechs. So I get greedy. I go for style points. I jump across the river. I don't have a 6 jump anymore, but I just jump to this forest here, so I'm in short range on this lupus and medium for the mongoose and the locust. And I go for the Hail Mary. Where is it? So his locust fires at my Horned Owl, nails me in the CT, shaves down the armor, misses on 11s with the rest of his ER smalls that he fired this turn. My Horned Owl needed a 6 to hit the locust. I missed. I needed an 11 to hit the mongoose. I missed. And I needed a 7 to hit the lupus, which I also missed. So a whole turn wasted. If I would have just unloaded everything onto that stupid lupus, I probably would have gotten rid of it this turn. But I went for style points and tried to get a triple kill. It did not work out, which means I wasted a turn and wasted a whole bunch of heat. And going into the next turn, I win initiative again. So this is two turns in a row after losing it for 4 turns in a row. Let's get into it. Oh, hey, that's the Merc unit I made for one of the tournaments we had earlier this year. So his Lupus doesn't move, of course, as his first move. And he's got to move the rest of his mechs. So he moves the Mongoose up a little bit. He doesn't move the Locust at all. Actually, I don't think he moved the Mongoose either, now that I look at it, to give himself as good as shots as possible on this Peregrine. And since he didn't move, and I'm going to be at a disadvantage when I move, which I'm likely going to jump, I decide to give myself cover, let myself take a couple shots safely on this Lupus. I'm out of range of most of the weapons on the Locust 2C here. I think I'm at long range, so he's going to have really bad shots. And the Mongoose, I'm at least in medium range, so his shots aren't going to be very good. But more importantly, that Lupus can't fire anything at me because he's facing the wrong direction. So let's pull up that combat log and see how this plays out for me. Mongoose nails the Peregrine with his 1 medium pulse laser. The only thing he could hit me with, he hits me with 9 and goes internal on the center torso and crits out an engine slot and the large pulse laser. Wouldn't you know it? Okay, his Locust 2C, on the other hand, misses with his medium pulse laser on 8s, thankfully, because if he hit my center torso, I'd be dead. My Peregrine unloads into the Lupus, medium pulse laser, finally cores out that damn Lupus. So now it's 2-on-1. My Peregrine's at 12 heat because I unloaded and jumped, just trying to kill something because I'm under the gun now. And wouldn't you know it, I win initiative again. So 3rd turn in a row, I win initiative. And I really needed it, honestly. If not, this could have gone south real quick. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next turn here. So this is the aftermath. Look at all of these dead mechs in the center of the map and arms and limbs laying around. So he pulls back with the Mongoose, and he does not move with the Locust again. And I'm overheated at this point with the Peregrine, so I decide to just jump and hide behind this level 6 hill and cool off for a turn. So this is a turn of no action, but it's coming down to the wire. So we can pull up combat log and see that there's a whole lot of nothing, just a whole bunch of clearing heat. And unfortunately, turn 14, Pirate wins initiative. So I've got to go over the top because right now he's up on me. So let's see where I go and how this goes. So I decide to jump 4-5 to get as much TMM as I can and stay up out of melee range so they get less shots on me as possible. He decides to just bum rush me with the Mongoose and the Locust. I think he walked with the Mongoose and maybe ran down that hill with the Locust. I'm not entirely sure. But we'll go to the combat log and find out what happens. So his Mongoose connects with a small laser in my right arm. His Locust connects with the pulse laser, needing only 6s. A lot of those ER smalls needing 8s. He only hits with 1 this time around, which is finally starting to even out there. All armor shots, thankfully. Doesn't hit my center torso with anything, which is real bad because it's only got 7 structure left. And I finally connect on that Locust 2C and I core him out. So the Locust 2C had a medium pulse laser, clan spec, that could do 7 damage in 1 shot and core out my Peregrine. So that was the biggest threat on the map to my poor little Horned Owl. The Mongoose could, in theory, double tap my center torso with both of his remaining weapons and destroy my Peregrine, but the odds are less likely to hit the same location twice in a row than it is to hit the center torso once with the medium pulse laser. So I eliminated the biggest threat and got rid of the Locust 2C first, cored him out with a medium pulse laser to the center torso. Well, left torso that transferred to the center torso because the left torso was gone. So now we're back down to 1 mech apiece, both at 0 heat. In round 15, wouldn't you know it, Pirate wins initiative again. So I got to move first, and I'm the more mobile mech. I can, well, technically he's faster than me, but I've got jump jets, so I can ignore most of the terrain. I decide to just give myself as good shots as I can, and I decide to walk across this hill for, I do believe, 6, while making it so that if he does run up on me, he's going to be 1 hex below me. He decides to just not move to give himself as the best chances of coring me out as possible. And let's go ahead and pull up the combat log for turn 15, which is the last turn of the game. And wouldn't you know it, he does hit with both weapons, hits the left torso with the medium laser, shaves off all the armor, and small laser hits the right arm. So he does not kill my peregrine, which means I think I'm up at this point. But my horned owl does connect on the mongoose. It destroys the left leg. 3 damage transfers from the left leg to the center torso, and 3 damage is enough to core him out. Because that's all the structure he had left. I think he had exactly 3 left. And I hit him with another medium pulse laser just for good measure, which also would have transferred up to the center torso on 4s, because he didn't move. So we had both really low target numbers. Like I said previously, I don't usually record my own matches, but this one was really close, came down to the wire, had some really interesting positioning, so I figured I'd go ahead and cast this one. Let me know how you guys feel about casting my own matches. I can give you the logic behind my moves, which is something I can't really do. I can only speculate about another player's movements and why they did them. But that being said, I'd like to thank our sponsors from the Coolant Pod at Fortress Minis and Games. Of course, everybody in the MRC and all the Patreons on the Coolant Pod Discord. And of course, the O-Tube guys on the Origins of Mechs. And Derek at Aviator Academics. Thank you, and all the Patreons over there as well. I will be hosting the SoCal Open in October 19th and 20th of this year in Del Mar, California, which is just north of San Diego. So if you're local and you want to come out and play some Battletech on the tabletop, I will be there. There will be trophies, there will be prize support, and there will be Coolant Pod dice. You didn't hear it from me. Oh wait, yeah you did. So if you guys are local, or if you're not local and you want to come out and hang out and roll some dice and have fun, look up the SoCal Open on the Frontline Gaming website and come on down. I'll be glad to meet you in person and we can get some games in maybe. But I will be hosting the tournament both days. Sunday is going to be an Alpha Strike 350 event, and Saturday is going to be a classic Battletech 10,000 battle value Ill Clan event. The Wolfnet 350 is going to be late Republic era. So come on down and get some games in and roll some dice. Have a good one, everybody.